Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Monday the 24th of April comes to you from Greenwich, Connecticut in the US. I'm seeing clients here today in the hedge fund industry. So we start by looking at the dollar and really what's happening in currencies, and then stocks, commodities, and last of all some US tech. And the really big story is the French elections have created a bit of a relief rally for a lot of things. So the dollar actually has weakened on a strengthening euro. So we see here the opening down about 1%. So dollar weakness just continuing at the moment, and key thing is, will we go lower than this 99 level, which is the low we saw in March? We're just testing that at the moment. This needs to be remembered. Last year we saw this sell-off in the dollar, and then it gained strength. So this is the same sort of period. We're going through the same thing here, but at the moment the key thing is, will we close lower than this level and hold that low? So just watching that in the medium-term charts. But short-term, no question, the dollar is bearish with downside targets. So that's quite key. And of course, that's the jump in the euro we see here, the relief rally here on the French election result. And the interesting thing is that short-term we do have these targets that were given back in January. 109 is now met. And 110.60, so we're just seeing some upside, but no real thrust targets given here on this move. So it's quite interesting that short term we're not really seeing any clear upside targets for the euro, and the picture is pretty unchanged long term. We still have a recovery here, but the fact that we did go lower and is still bearish. So we've still got lots of targets to the downside. So the euro looks good short term, but it hasn't yet changed the long term picture. Looking at Japanese yen against the dollar, we're seeing the jump in the dollar here. So this is the risk on trade, normally putting the yen strengthening, but in fact relative to the dollar it's actually fallen. Looking at sterling, we're just holding this 128 level, so just really been flat ever since the jump on the election announcement last week, and we do have an upside target here of 129.40 and 132.03. So we are seeing some upside targets here, but again still quite a lot of bearish targets hanging over sterling. Interestingly, the downside target that was on this column has been removed, so sterling looking better medium term. Looking at sterling against the euro, we see that's falling. The euro's got the upper hand just at the moment on that election jump, and looking at sterling against the Swiss, it's pretty flat. Against the Australian dollar, just starting to fall away back into the 160s, so Australian dollar strong. And then looking at US stock markets, S&P 500 just below the cloud still, so just struggling at the moment. US stock markets, Nasdaq is back above the cloud short term, but and with an upside target of 2.3% and 3.7%. But at the moment, we are just in this sideways move on most tech stocks. We're looking at Dow, much the same picture here, just struggling in the short term to get above the cloud, and the Russell 2000 actually looking quite strong short term back above the cloud, but still very much in this sideways range. Markets have been pretty flat so far this year. Looking at the future, up 1.2%. So we're seeing, and the Nasdaq E-mini up 1%. So we're seeing the relief in the European markets, and Asia should filter to the opening in the US today. So that should create a jump in US stocks. Looking at FTSE 100, a big jump this morning on that relief rally as well, but not enough to put us back above the cloud, and the same with the FTSE 250. But in fact, the jump there has maintained the bullishness. So UK mid-caps still the sweet spot in global stock markets. Looking at DAX, we're jumped there as well, of course, as we'd expect on those French election results. So relief rally there as well, and the Nikkei also jumping as well. So we're looking at Asian markets generally. The jump in Europe has spread. The only exception is China. It's down about 1.3%. Hang Seng is up, but China is down the Shanghai index down. So just starting to look a little bit worrying on China, coming back into this medium-term bearish market, just struggling to break at the moment. Looking at India, India is actually looking stronger, up nearly 1% this morning, and we're seeing here just that move coming back above the cloud. And the same for the Australian market, recovering but not quite yet above the cloud there either, but we still have a lot of upside targets here, and this market looking very good medium term. Crude oil has also jumped about 1% on the announcement, but it's still not enough to get us back above the cloud in the short term, so still looking a little bit bearish there. And WTI much the same picture, so quite key. We have this new downside target on WTI. If we move below 47.50, we activate downside targets there. Basically, a move below this previous low that we saw in March would be very bearish. US nat gas we're seeing here is bearish below the cloud, so that is just falling away, but holding the $3 level quite well. And copper just rising again on that announcement in the French elections. And we're looking here at gold. Gold is actually looking a bit bearish now, of course, the risk on trade. So with risk off being the theme of today's markets, we're seeing gold then suffering. So short term it has given us a few downside targets. There is support here. We are hitting resistance, but this 1371 target is still very much in train. So and we're hitting a bit of resistance here on the price on the cloud, but still bullish long term, bullish medium term, short term just turned fairly bearish. So that's just keep an eye on that, but the long term picture is still pretty good. Silver bearish below the cloud as well. Still have a downside target to 1712, which is 3.8% downside. Looking at German bonds, so we see here the price of German bonds just falling very sharply. So that means the yield going up, the price of the bond falling. And if we look at 10-year government bond yields, we see that jump. So again, the risk off bond market just really jumping there. So that's quite key. Tech stocks, Apple just was a bit bearish on Friday, so it'll be interesting to just see how we move back above the cloud here, but bullish in the medium and long term. Google still bullish on all three time frames. Amazon just holding its bullishness there. Facebook also pretty bullish, testing these new highs at 144. Good looking chart with lots of upside there. And Microsoft really jumped on Friday as well. So we're seeing a lot of tech stocks moving into quite positive territory. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.